Good morning, Minnesota DFLers, and welcome to the daily DFL War Room call. My name is Richard Carlbaum. I'm the chair of the Minnesota DFL Party. So great to have you with us today, and lots going on at the DFL. So just a level set to start, as I usually do. We meet Monday through Friday, 10:45 sharp, 5 to 10 minutes to give you the message, the action, the tool to be empowered in this moment. So important to make sure that you all have the resources to empower yourselves and your friends and your neighbors. A big weekend last weekend. I got to tell you, Scott County Fair did not disappoint. The Scott County pork producers put together an amazing pork patty. They sell them for $6 each, totally worth it. Also, I want to just give a huge shout out to the team at the DFL headquarters. They got around the state this weekend. Quentin Ochama was up in Morrow, marching with the Democrats in Kennebec County. We were up in Hoyt Lakes. We are in Le Sueur, Anoka County Fair, covering the state really in a broad swath. So really excited about all the work that folks did to get around the state this weekend. Coming up, of course, we have some really important special elections. First off, in House District 34B, we have a special election on September 16th. We, of course, endorsed XP Lee, a great council member up there. He is running in a primary on August 12th. And so we need to get him through that primary on August 12th, and then he'll go on to the general election September 16th. And then, of course, Senate District 29 and Senate District 47 are going to have special elections. We know that the governor and his team are working on that, and we'll be making an announcement in the coming days as to the timing of those. Coming up in August, of course, we have more listening tour sessions. We have more county fairs, more parades. But specifically, I want to shout out the fact that Game Fair is coming up in mid-August, a couple of weekends in August. And then we have the DNC, the Democratic National Committees in town, August 24th through 27th. And so if you want to volunteer for that, you can email Party Affairs. We need about 20 to 25 volunteers a day for the Democratic National Committee. And then finally, of course, the Minnesota State Fair, the Great Minnesota Get Together. I'm super excited about all the new foods and beverages that the fair is going to have this year. It's a really critical event for us as Democrats. It is the place where we get to really do everything we can to connect with Minnesotans from all across the state. And so if you haven't signed up for a volunteer shift yet, if you're interested, please do let us know. It's going to be the Great Minnesota Get Together, and we cannot wait. All right, with that being said, let's roll into our message of the day. There's been a lot happening in our party. There's been a lot happening at the legislature, and I am thrilled that today we have a very special guest to talk about some of the great accomplishments that we've achieved at the legislature over the last two and a half years. Under his direction, DFL leaders have gotten a lot done. Check out this list. It is unbelievable. Of course, you hear me talking about the fact that Democrats deliver for working class families all the time. This is just some of the things that were accomplished from 23 through today. This doesn't even count going all the way back to the 19th session. This is an incredible list of accomplishments. First and foremost, $3.5 billion in the bank. So many people like to say, oh, Democrats got a majority and took a surplus and made it into a deficit. That's a lie. That's not true. What we did is we made targeted investments, and we don't have deficits in the future. We made $3.5 billion in the bank for a rainy day. That's a smart target investment to protect working class families in the future against a storm that is coming from Washington. Second, the largest child tax credit in the country exists right here in Minnesota because of Democrats. That's a lot of money that parents get to use to buy, put food on the table, pay for rent, make sure that they have gas in the car, make sure that kids can participate in after-school activities, make sure that kids get, a better chance at just having a great shot at life. That child tax credit leading the nation, reduced childhood poverty in Minnesota by 1/3. Huge accomplishment, targeted investment on working class families. And then, of course, universal school meals. We celebrate this all the time because we know Republicans fought like hell to actually repeal part of the universal school meals program. We did not let them. We stood firm. All these accomplishments continue to be a success today because DFL leaders in the House and Senate and Governor Walz stood fast. So next up, I cannot wait for him to join us. Thank you for joining us today. Governor Tim Walz is with us. Huge shout out to you and your leadership. We're going to bring you on camera, and just, the first question we have for you is this massive list of accomplishments, Governor. Like, what stands out to you in terms of delivering for working class families?
Well, thank you, Richard, and thank you to all of you for the incredible work you do. And here you are on Monday morning, coming out of a weekend. Many of you are putting in the miles. I'm on my way up to Delano, where we're going to sign a farm bill and the investments we made in ag country, and again, making the case that uh, we know, and we always have won in Greater Minnesota. There's a reason we're the DFL because we support farm families. We support healthcare. We support good schools. We support infrastructure. We support programs like the milk program that when prices go down and when you have a buffoon in charge of the White House who destroys the ag economy, Minnesota's there to back it up. And I think in that answer to that question, Richard, I think anything we do to improve the lives, especially of children, folks who are innocent in this, and Minnesota being the best place. But I think what was that list and what's so good about it is it was holistic approach, and that list is, again, it's kind of interesting. If you go to the Star Tribune today, you won't often see it, but the Minnesota Business Partnership praising the environment here, because all you hear the chamber talk about is we're a high tax state. We expect people who do well to pay their fair share, and when they do, as Senator Wellstone taught us, we all do better when that happens. And so Minnesota is doing that. Our economy is thriving while Iowa's economy is flailing because this idea of not investing in your people, not investing in education. So I said, for me, it's hard to pick from that list. But I'll just be candid with all of you as we think about going forward. I get a little bit I get a little bit melancholy when I see that list too, because let's not forget Melissa Hortman's fingerprints are over every single one of those things on that list. Every single thing that she advocated for. And for me, it's pretty easy to pull myself along and sign my name. Melissa Hortman has to figure out how to pull dozens and dozens of folks from across the state together. And our next leader in that caucus will need to do the same, which kind of segues me to this is let's do everything possible to not be in a 67-67 situation. And let's do everything possible to understand when Democrats are in charge, things get done. So I think what's going to be really important about that list too is as more bad things come down from the administration. And again, it's not just buffoonery, which there's that every day. It's the intentional cruelty that goes into this, the intentional cruelty of not getting out food to children or summer programs, the intentional cruelty of reminding folks their work requirement for Medicaid. Apparently my 90-year-old mom's too lazy to get off her butt and go do her work, I guess, or newborns are too busy to do that. And just so you all know, that work requirement also applies to veterans with 90% disability. And so um, coming from a guy who's never worked a damn day in his life, in the guy in the White House, we know that it's going to be challenging times, but that list will protect folks. Come January 1st, the most aggressive and I would argue the best paid family medical leave program in the country will go into effect. We're starting to see the benefits of, as Richard said, the child tax credit. We got families that can now apply early for that money, which they've done. So they got a little extra money in their pocket to buy supplies to send their little one off in new shoes with a new pencil and a new backpack, as they should, to feel welcome. And then when they get there, they don't have to worry about food. They're going to eat. They're going to eat breakfast. They're going to eat lunch. And we're going to fund those programs after school. And I get pretty sick of when I hear, these folks that want to uh, enable parents to make decisions in their schools. We've always done that. Thing is that I don't want somebody else's parents to tell my kid they can't read a book. That's part of empowering all of our parents. So in Minnesota, our kids go to school safe. They go to school well fed. They go to school knowing that if they choose to have higher education, that is going to be paid for and helped. And guess what? Then you get the business partnership weighing in and saying, damn, it's good to be in a state with a well educated, healthy population that can help us make money. And we're fine with that. We celebrate that. But when you make a lot of money, we're going to ask you to pay your taxes. And that seems pretty simple. So for all of you, I know you know this. It's a bit of preaching to the choir. I don't think we're not whistling past the graveyard, but we're in this fight. Look, this guy in the White House is getting older every day. He's getting more desperate every day. I said, I wake up every day grateful that I'm a DFLer and that there's folks like you on this call. There's few things that I know with certainty. One is I know the folks on this call have the backs of people in Minnesota. Something else I know with certainty, I know who's not on the Epstein list, and that's me. So we'll we know how that stuff goes. But Richard, I don't know if you got any questions. I just am on here to say thank you to this group who does the work. And some of you've heard me say this. Um, you can't be a high school teacher with no political experience and no money and win a race unless you have infrastructure. And I've seen this on the national scale where incredible candidates who should win don't win because they don't have the infrastructure. The great example I give is that, I always said if I wanted to go out to Worthington, Minnesota, I had Deb out there to look forward to me. I could go wherever across the first district, and there was somebody there. Certainly, Lori Selner was in every single place I needed to go, and I'd call Lori and say, "Do you know anybody out in Wyndham?" And we're in the back of a place having pie, talking to some folks. And I watched a great candidate down in Mississippi 2 years ago in Brandon Presley, and I think telling Democrats we tend to get all nervous Nelly, and we lost the Mississippi governor's race by 2.5 points, and they got absolutely no infrastructure whatsoever. They had an incredible candidate. So we got incredible candidates running, but let's be very clear. We're going to win that U.S. Senate race. We'll have a great candidate come out of that thing, but it's the folks on this call that will win this thing. We've got governor's races. We've got congressional races. And please don't. I know you know this. We're not going to write off any corner of the state. I've been traveling across the country to these red districts because these people voted for this crap. Brad Finstead voted for crap that hurts the first district, and that needs to be known. And we're going to have great candidates in every one of these. So appreciate it, everybody.
Well said, Governor. We've been talking a lot about on this call, Brad Finstead, Tom Emmer, Stauber, and Fishbach voting to cut 253,000 Minnesotans
Yes.
off of Medicaid, right? And then that, of course, creates pressure because all the rest of us will see our prices go up and the services offered go down by these hospitals, especially in rural Minnesota
Oh,
and greater
really?
Minnesota, where it's really going to be decimated. So
70%
we are
of
out
our
there
nursing
organizing.
homes. 70% of our nursing homes. Look, I'll be out in Delano on this farm bill, but on Wednesday, and I think this is important for all of you, and I know Richard and this team gets out good information. We're going to be talking about the implications to Medicaid and Medicare and healthcare on this. Wednesday marks the 60th anniversary of Medicaid, and so it's it coincides together. They're hoping we forget about this. They're hoping they change the name of the commanders in Washington back to a racist name. They're hoping that he puts cane sugar in Coke. Will have us forget about this. They're hoping he cheats in golf in Scotland and we'll forget about it. We're not forgetting shit. We know exactly what they did to people, and we are going to remind every single person in Minnesota. So be very clear. We know what they're doing. Dictators have a playbook. And one of the key things they try and do is they try and wear you down and get to a weariness. They very, very much underestimate how damn mad we are and how motivated we are. So they can try and gerrymander, they can try and suppress us, they can try and request our voter data that we told them to stick it up their butt. So send a note to Steve Simon too. That guy's protecting democracy every day. So.
Absolutely. Well, Governor, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go to our call to action. And our call to action today is to make sure that you all are showing up in community. This is the opportunity to have your voices heard and shout out what you're most proud of. We want you to go to dfl.org/post. There you can see our 2026 path to victory. The governor mentioned a lot of these priorities. Number one, listen to voters. Number two, make sure that we are doing everything we can to organize early. We have 10 organizers across the state. Number three, stand for something, damn it. We stand for working families. We work hard on behalf of those working families. And number four, of course, hold Republicans responsible so that voters hold them accountable in November 2026. That's how we are going to build the largest electoral defeat of a sitting president in the history of Minnesota midterms. Governor Walz, thank you for being with us today. Please go on your social media and post something that you're really proud of, one of these accomplishments that we got done over the last 2.5 years. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow on our daily call at 10:45. Have a great day, everybody.